in GP San Jose. Right. So Nick, I saw that you had a really interesting list. I really loved seeing you play. So can we go into the list real quick?
Sure. So I played Lilius Petal, otherwise known as Nine-Tailed Fox. That kind of fell off after the Griffin ban, but I tend to really like this card. He got me a top last year, so I wanted to try and run it back this year too.
Right.
So getting into the deck, we can start with the creatures. So we ran one monkey in life. Monkey's good again, especially with a card that I'll get to later in the deck. You need I run the one monkey and the one demonic dead. I probably might increase one or either of them to two. It was pretty bad, like if they got evil elemental uprising by like Charizard, stuff like that. But other than that, the recurrence cards are still super good. And then again, monkey's good again, just has like a one drop and stuff like that. So those are those. I ran two Messenger of Lilius Petal. Originally it was only supposed to be one, but I'm an idiot and wrote two on my deck list. So it was two. Card's good for the old reason, just fetching a killing stone to the top, but the deck also really needs white now. Like, you need to hit a white stone pretty early, so having him to even fetch a white up to top is also pretty insane. Going into this, ran 4 Fox Spirit, and then along with his counterpart, 3 Lilius Petal Kitsune King. This card is nuts. These cards, not so much, they just get caught off of him. If you resolve a Kitsune King, you basically win the match. If it resolves, no Lorite trigger, no counter, no nothing, you pretty much win the game, like on the spot. This card is insane. And then the 4 just for the consistency of Lilius Petal. Moving on, we have 4 Tama. Pretty standard. Tama's just good card, sacks itself, kills other Tamas, so on and so forth.
Yep.
And then we have 4 Lorite. Lorite, again, just good card. And then since he's also green, you can sack him to Fox effects.
Yeah, so that's it for the resonators, right?
Yeah, that's it for all the resonators. So then going into the spells, I played it a little spell heavy. I'm probably going to cut down the spells and probably add more resonators. But so mainly the biggest addition to the deck is this addition, Life-Stealing Altar. This card is nuts. I won so many games off the back of this card. If you get one early, 1 or 2 early, and you can flip Fox, it nets you 2 stones, which can sometimes just net you into your killing stone. And then if you can play another one while this card is flipped, you guys can see the backside as well. If you can net one while this card is flipped, you can start sacking stuff and then paying to draw if you play another one after the Fox flip. And then every time you sack for a Chimera, you can always pay to just draw 2 cards. So this card just nets you all your card advantage. And then again with the reanimation creatures, with like Monkey and Demonic Dead and stuff like that, it's like pay 500 life, banish, -4/-4 something, pay 1, draw a card. And that's just free cards at that point. So these cards felt super insane, and that's why you run the white in the deck, mainly for this card. It also lets you get some other tech cards, which we'll go into, but this card's nuts.
Hey.
We ran the counter package was 3 Severing Wind, 3 Fair's Spell. Pretty necessary in the meta, just because of how many counters there are. I wouldn't be against dropping Fair's Spell down to 2 or Severing Winds, vice versa. Kind of depends what you're playing against and what feels good or what feels bad. I wouldn't increase the count. This is generally as high as you want to go. We got 2 Final Battle. Standard black card, really good if a Charizard flips. If you're ever playing a Foxmere, really good against that. And then there are just some other, again, like rogue decks like Tigris or Lumia. Just a board wipe that can't really be canceled is pretty powerful in the game. And then since you run Amit, you have the life to really just like fuel it pretty effectively.
Yep.
2 Kaguya Moonbeam Butterfly. This card gets your addition. That's its main point. It can also rip Kitsune King from your deck later in the game if you reach that point. It can rip your Reanimator guys. Just whatever missing piece you don't have, you can get it. And because of the altars, you're generally up on stones over your opponent. I ran 4 Trueblade. This was just more for the Tama Trueblade combo that exists in like Charizard and most other green decks at the moment. In the end, I didn't end up really liking it. I'm probably going to cut them, all of them. and probably add something else. It just felt super dead. It's really dead against Sherry. The only deck it ever felt good against was like Lumia. I didn't play a Keurig deck throughout the entire day, but since you have the emits and everything, you're gaining so much life, the deck kind of just stabilizes anyway.
So I
probably wouldn't run these. I'd probably put in more of the recurrence resonators, maybe like Lilia's Petals Assistance, just extra stuff to get.
Okay.
I ran 2 Flourishing Hope. It's really good. Not against like Charizard, but just like even if you ever need to just block with something, make sure it doesn't die. And then the backside, Versioning Despair. It's always good to just have like instant speed Banish too if your opponent ever taps out, does anything like that. So both sides are pretty useful. It's more like a tech card. I wouldn't feel bad cutting them, but I did like having them there when I saw them. And then we have 1 Separation of Fates, I believe. 2 Separation of Fates. And I had 2 Separation of Fates main. Your worst matchups are going to be ruler decks. So Imul's pretty bad. Mephistopheles like fucks this deck up. But like Imul is pretty bad. Ayu's pretty bad. Even like Tigris can sometimes do stuff if they get a bunch of gems. So just having the separation to just neg something, and then also it would lose flying, and then Emit's bigger than like everything in the game. So Emit could just block and then kill it.
Yeah.
So that's it for the main board. Stone lineup. Standard 4 Killing Stone. We all know why that's in there. And then we run 4 Green-White Stone, 4 White-Black Stone. 2. It's actually not as bad hitting white or black on turn 1. Since you're trying to cast Alter anyway, it's not that awful. If you hit the Killing Stone, you have your Killing Stone, and then you can just play like a Tama or something afterwards.
So you went with the odds of getting white over having green all the time, or black?
Yeah, basically. White's way more important. Having Alter out as soon as possible is super important. Because generally how games would go is call stone, Alter turn 1, and then something like Tama turn 2 with the second stone, and then you draw the card off Tama, and then you have the open mana to either counter something, or if they try killing the Tama, pay for it to pay for Alter, and then Alter replaces itself, so you just get more cards.
Yeah.
That does it for the stones. And then for the sideboard, I threw my sideboard together pretty last minute, but for the Chimeras, 4 Emit, card's nuts. I love him. He's big. And then 3 Manticore. Manticores, you could go up to 4. Generally, if you resolve all your emits, you're winning the game. So it didn't feel necessary, but there's sometimes where you need to tech in the Manticore. Like they have Alice's World of Madness maybe, or like something like that. There can be additions that are pretty shitty for you, and yeah, so that's just why Manticore's into that.
And just to clarify, these are basically in your main deck. They considered sideboard, but you're basically pulling them out there.
Yeah.
So
that's it for the Chimeras. And for the rest of the board, I had 2 Scarlet's Agony. Again, worst matchup is like J-Ruler decks, so that's why I had it in there. I never actually sided them in. I didn't play against an Ayu at all this event. So I played against 3 Sherrys, a Lumia, an Imul, and a Tigris. So I never had to side in the Agonies. I'd still keep them in there. Because again, like Ayu's a pretty bad matchup for you.
Yeah, and just to clarify, he top 8'd. So against all those Sherrys, it works. Yeah. This deck works.
1 more Separation of Fates. Same thing as the other 2 in the deck. You just want like the odds. This is like a weird math thing that Forcible has. Because I'm running the 5 in my deck. If I need this card or Scarlet's Agony for the J-Ruler decks, I can just do a solid pitch 5, regardless of what's in my hand, and then try. The odds that I draw one of those within the first few turns is pretty high, so I'll have my answer. So I just had the 3rd one to up the ratio. 2 Thought Control. This wasn't as good as I thought. I threw it in there just because I was looking for space and didn't really have another thing, honestly. I'd probably replace them with Shackles of Ice. Charizard's still a pretty bad matchup. It's just a really good deck. So Shackles really stops Charizard down, and since you already have the Moonbeam Butterflies in your deck, you can search them out super easily, and then if you never get it and draw it, you can just pitch it off if they like Evil Jin you or something like that. And then I run 3 Digestion. This card's terrible, don't actually run it. This was more of a test. I think it might still be good in something like Charizard for Sherry Mirrors, but for my board it wasn't good. You're generally using your mana for other stuff. I still boarded them in to see how they felt, and they felt bad. So I'd replace them with, honestly, I'd probably run one more Moonbeam Butterfly in the board against Charizard, get those shackles out more quickly. And then the two others, maybe True Blades, because there are some times that you want to just hit something with True Blade.
Yeah.
And that pretty much does it for the deck.
All right. So, again, as I said before, you top 8'd. Good job, by the way.
Thank you.
How did you enjoy the event?
I love the event. I knew a few people who were coming here from Worlds last year. I did go to Worlds last year. And then, so it was great meeting all of them again. I haven't gone to an event yet this season. So it was great seeing all of them again. Other than that, it was fun playing against everybody. Fun seeing all these weird rogue decks. A lot of people played like Tigris and Imuls running around. And I know there were like I think there was a Shayla. There were a few fun decks that were out there today. So yeah, and everyone was having a great time. So it was really fun.
Yeah. And would you like to give any last shout-outs?
Last shout out to my home store, Eddie's Games, San Diego, California. Great shop. Come by, visit if you're in the area. 6:30 p.m. And shout out to my roommate, my parents, and my bosses. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. See you guys later.